How did we go from all of the county officials and the city officials are on board thinking that this hut project is a go, and the director of the gathering place walks in to a county commissioner meeting and says, I have the funding, what's the next step? And Charlie Adkins says, oh, I decided to sell the building. How did that happen?
It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
The director of the gathering place, Ginger Schmallenberg, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, has been working on this since before the pandemic. Several years she's been working with community agencies trying to figure out where to put these huts. She finally got a plan, she got it approved, she got the mayor on board, she got the commissioners on board. This was ready to go, and Charlie single-handedly stopped it. August 6th, Ginger sends an email to Steve Patterson, Athens mayor, saying, I just had a great meeting with the county commissioners and they approved the Ohio Means Jobs site to try the prototype of these 2 huts. What do we do next? Then on September 18th, the Athens Planning Commission, Ginger says,
Chris Schmiel has been a great champion for us for many years.
So we know one of the commissioners is totally on board for this. He really wants this to happen. The Planning Commission board clarifies to the public, the commissioners are supporting this, it's on county property, it's happening.
The commissioners are supporting this. This has been moving forward and is going to happen.
The county commissioners wrote and signed, all 3 of them, a 4-page letter to the Planning Commission laying out the plan for the huts, saying this is what's going to happen, this is where it's going to happen, this is why it's needed, homelessness is a huge problem in our county. After all that was laid out, a handful of wealthy business owners, mostly landlords in the Athens area, stood up and talked about how they were concerned about their property values and about Athens becoming a magnet for homeless folks from other big cities. They're gonna come down here and take over because we're gonna make it so comfortable for them. Athens is gonna become the holy city of homelessness, and I'm gonna lose all of my valuable property.
Russell Chamberlain. I live on Lavelle. I don't live on Lavelle Road. I live on Lurid Road now. I'm an owner of various properties on West Union, fairly close to the site. The Athens Real Estate Company. Eric is one of the owners of that. I have about 14 other tenants in that particular complex. I own a lot that's vacant where there's a pavilion behind the American Legion. I also own an empty lot behind the Mr. Tire place. Nobody had reached out to me to talk to me about anything, and I'm a pretty significant landlord right next door.
Hi, my name's Andy Vogt. I don't live inside the city limits, but I own 10 properties inside the city limits.
David Cornwell, 42 Strasbourg Road. I own several businesses in Athens, some properties as well.
I am Lori Deal, and I live Jacobs Drive in Athens. I own a business on Columbus Road.
3 rich white guys and 1 rich white lady, and they're pissed. We're gonna listen to some more from them in a second, but what I surmise happened is the property owners of Athens who own property in that area got mad, went to Charlie and said, hey buddy, you can't let this happen. So he found a way to stop it. How is that legal? How is that ethical for one man who is part of a 3-person commissioner team? I'm assuming so that there are checks and balances, so that there needs to be a 2 out of 3 vote to stop things like this from happening, so that one person doesn't have that much power. And then we clip to the meeting notes from the Athens County Commissioners meeting from December 10th, 2024, where Ginger comes in saying the funding is ready, everything is ready to go to build these huts, and Charlie suddenly springs it on everyone that the building is being sold. The site where they were going to build the huts is suddenly being sold. So basically, the gathering place is back to square one with figuring out where these huts are going to go when they thought they had it all figured out and were ready to start building, because one man decided he didn't want it to happen.
Coming back around, we got a problem. I'm about to steal your Christmas joy, I'm about to rob you.
Let's see what these rich white people have to say.
And I have been victimized by the homeless people who live behind me. I personally thought my electric bill and water bill, that something was going on, that I had a water leak and things. And after looking at my security cameras, I have the homeless that are coming about 6:30, because they know when we leave, that are coming and using my water outside and using my electric.
Personally victimized by homeless people who don't have access to water, using the water at her business.
So I'm very concerned about our homeless population, and we definitely have a need for something. I'm just concerned on the location. The west side is for communities, which I understand that they're part of our community, but you keep mentioning mental health. I'm not sure that those are the people that I want after 6 o'clock or before 6 o'clock or after 6 o'clock on the west side ballparks with our children on the bike path when they're already there anyway.
They're already there.
Exactly.
We're trying to organize them.
Right, and there are many business owners on that area, on that side, that are their values of their property. My property's on Columbus Road, right across from the Sunset Motel. I am very concerned about our non-congregate homeless shelter that can potentially come there. That is supposed to be our new corridor into Athens with the hospital and development. I'm not sure that's the look our community really wants.
Not sure that's the look the community wants. The community doesn't want the look of us taking care of our unhoused population, caring for them, putting them in shelters, giving them the health care that they need, keeping them from freezing to death, giving them access to water so they don't have to steal it from your business. Would she rather they... Let's move on.
Is this going to be an invitation? Are people going to hear about this? Hey, Athens is an extremely welcoming area.
If we're making this, a better place, could this grow? Are people going to come from Columbus and Cincinnati because we are the community that takes care of them?
Right.
Then we're going to have a growing problem.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but people already do come from those places. We have travelers all the time,
Right.
but they just,
Oh, we do. I talked to.
Right, so you see it too.
Oh, yeah,
I can't see
sleeping.
having 4 huts to make all these people come to try to get into that hut, because that's not going to happen.
Just one concern is that if we make it nice and we make it attractive and it's safe, and then we start creating, expanding it and having other areas, could this potentially even invite, people that are currently not housed in other areas to come here because this seems like a safe place? And we've seen that in a lot of cities where that has happened.
Have we seen that in a lot of cities? Is that how Columbus got such a large homeless population? Is because they made it so welcoming for homeless people? Are people in Athens going to be like, you know what? Screw paying rent. Screw having this roof over my head. I'm going to leave all my possessions, leave my heat, water, my warm bed. I'm going to live outdoors because Ginger over there at the gathering place, she's going to get me in a hut. Yeah. Are people from other big cities going to move down here to live in a hut? Or is it more likely that more people in Athens County are going to become homeless because of people like this owning 14 properties, charging $2,000-$3,000 a month that no one can afford? Who's contributing to the problem of people being unhoused? Someone who's trying to shelter people who are living out in the elements in the freezing cold. It was 1 degree when I woke up this morning. The gathering place is trying to provide a shelter for people who are literally in danger of freezing to death. And then these rich white guys who are like, I own 10 properties, I own 15 properties, blah, blah, blah. And they're charging so much that nobody can afford to live there. Which one is contributing to the problem? It's not the gathering place. These guys are literally driving away families. Families are leaving this area because they can't afford to live here. Between the rent prices and the increases in property taxes, people are moving away, and it's happening everywhere. And more people are becoming homeless. Where are they supposed to go? There are families living in their cars with children in Athens County right now. And these dudes own 10 to 15 properties. Why can't they make the rent reasonable? Why aren't they going to the gathering place and saying, what can I do? Can I house one of these families? Can I put them in a house? And so then I don't have to worry about how our community looks, having people living in huts. You wouldn't have to worry about how that looks to outsiders, and is this the look our community wants? If you freaking put them in your dozens of houses, put them in your houses, charge reasonable rent, then we won't have to have huts. This is a problem of greed. Take some responsibility. Let's listen to some other weird he said.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be in support of it unless I really just felt like I had a much better understanding of how it's going to be run.
Sorry, Smiley, we don't need your support. You're not the boss of this project. There's a very capable woman running this nonprofit who secured all the funding herself, figured out how to work outside of the government agencies who should be handling this project, but don't and won't. So she figured it out herself. She doesn't need your approval. Also, if you were really that interested in figuring out how it was going to work, you could have read the packet that she made available that outlined step by step how everything was going to work, how it was going to be funded. It's been available for years, but instead you just show up to this meeting and decide to criticize her and tell her how she should do everything differently and what you think she should be doing instead. Typical.
I think we can all recall back, I think it was 15, 20 years ago on Union Street when a fire started, and that fire demolished, I think, 8 buildings, of which I insured 4.5 of them, and it was started by the homeless who started a fire in there.
The homeless? 15 to 20 years ago, the homeless. As if the homeless are all one and the same. This is not a specific person. This is not the same homeless person who started the fire. That is one of the most offensive things I have ever heard said out loud in my life. I don't even know what to say to that one. Also, was Ginger advocating for letting people start fires inside abandoned buildings? Because I missed that part.
My sister, her name is Sharon Chamberlain.
Here's where it gets real weird. This guy's gonna tell us how instead of what Ginger's been working on for years, she should just drop that and do what his sister's doing in Nevada, which I'm assuming costs millions of dollars to start and is way more complicated, and he's not offering to help with funding or coordination or volunteering or anything. He's just saying how way better what his sister's doing is. I just think that this guy likes to hear himself talk and criticize any effort anyone else puts towards doing anything while he does nothing except make money off of his properties. Oh, and he gives us homework to look into what his sister's doing and says that would be great if we did that.
She's the CEO of a place called Nevada Hopes. If you haven't had a chance to look at their work, that would be great. They just built their second fairly large hospital, a free clinic and then a significantly sized hospital. They have a full suite of services. You can walk in the door, and as part of that full suite of services, behavioral, monetary, all sorts of, the voucher programs and that sort of thing. They also have built a small camp of very teeny houses. These are permanent structures. They're not, huts. They have plumbing, they have bathrooms, they have community gardens, and it's in an urban environment. But the rules there, have been very clearly established, and it's tough to sometimes enforce those rules, right? So what happens if, somebody shows up at 6 o'clock at night and the 4 huts are taken by 2 people, and then there's 2 other people, and the gates aren't locked. We don't lock people in, but they're also open. So what if those 2 people say, hey, can I share your hut tonight, right? Can I just pitch a tent here, right? Because at least it's within a confines. And so, it's those kinds of things that could just happen organically, I think, that would be difficult to anticipate fully. But I would just like to understand what the mechanisms and what the support staff, and we're talking about weekends too, right? And nights, that are going to be there to really manage the site. Because I don't think it'll manage itself quite as tightly as you might hope. It would be great, but I would have my doubts.
He has his doubts. He has his doubts that a strong, smart, capable woman has been able to anticipate the problems that may arise, that he has come up with in the hour that he's been thinking about this. Surely he has come up with way more than she has been able to in the years that she's been working on this project. My favorite part is that he cannot fathom that someone would have to handle a problem on a weekend or at night. He's telling someone who works in the nonprofit sector that there might be a problem on a weekend or at night. He's probably never had a job where he's had to work anytime except 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. To imagine the lives that some people lead. And as a landlord, those of us who have rented know, if you have a problem on the weekend or at night, you're going to be waiting until Monday at 9 a.m. to get a call back from that dude. He doesn't do weekends or nights. Also, holy cow, this guy really loves his big sister. He went to the county commissioner meeting, which is the one we don't have a video of. And in the meeting notes, it says, Corey Rex read a text from Mr. Chamberlain's sister. She admitted what they're trying to do with the temporary shelter stuff will be a disaster. So I did go ahead and do the homework that Mr. Chamberlain assigned, and I looked up his sister's place, Nevada Hopes, and I bet he wished that I didn't. This is the Google reviews from clients, I'm assuming. 3.4 out of 5 stars overall. Sorted by most recent reviews, 1 star, 1 star, 2 stars, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, and a 5 star. And then Indeed reviews by people who work there. 3 out of 5 stars. Wouldn't recommend this work environment to anyone. Seems to have lost its purpose. The nepotism and favoritism is bad, micromanaged by people who are not qualified to manage others. Bad management, the emperor has no clothes, lack of transparency, poor decision making. And my personal favorite, Hopes is an evil empire from the top down. A lot of favoritism and no professionalism from the CEO. Not to mention an unethical workplace. They do not practice what they preach. The CEO is Sharon Chamberlain, the sister of Russell Chamberlain. It sounds like Sister's Place isn't doing so hot, so maybe the Chamberlains shouldn't be telling other people how to run their organizations. And she shouldn't be texting Athens and telling us what to do. I'm going to wrap this up with a clip from Michelle Anderson's TikTok. She was one of the people who was in line to get one of the huts. I'm not certain about this, but I do believe that she was going to get one of the first 2 huts. One of her videos made it sound like she thought she was going to be getting one soon, and that was pulled away from her right before Christmas via Charlie Atkins.
Hi everybody. It's about 2 a.m. in the morning. It's 38 degrees out. It's cold. Candles aren't helping too much tonight, but it's at least a lot better than out there. Tonight I'm kind of afraid because something or someone is outside my tent, and I can hear them walking around, talking, making noises, and it's just not right, you know? I'm having a hard enough time trying to make it. Why these agencies are okay with people sleeping in a tent when it's this cold. I just don't get it. I don't get why somebody would want to pick on a homeless person living in their tent. But it's just really bothering me and hurting me. I just don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be here anymore.
I want us all to remember that these people are humans, they are neighbors, they are community members, and while we're having debates at city council and county commissioner meetings, and we're having Zoom meetings about how to handle the issue, they're out there in the cold. The gathering place is putting them into hotels when it's really cold outside, which is awesome and amazing, and thank goodness for them. But these are real people in our community who are struggling every day, who are hungry, who are cold, who are wet when it rains, and they're hot when it's hot outside, and they don't have any this is their life. While we sit and debate about what to do about it, they are living it. And each one of these people used to be a joy-filled child. They were a kindergartner. They had a kindergarten teacher. They were somebody's baby. Somebody held them and sang to them, and they were the center of somebody's world. And they were a fourth grader, and they lost their first tooth, and they learned to ride their bike, and they had their first kiss, and all of those things that we all go through, they did all those things too. And then somewhere along the line, they hit a rough patch, or maybe their whole life has been a rough patch, but they're human just like us. They're not a problem. They're not an eyesore, as some people seem to think. They're not something that our community needs to be embarrassed about and want to hide, and it's not a look that Athens has or doesn't have. They're people, and we need to do whatever we can to pull them back into the community and reintegrate them into society, not push them back out into the woods or into the fringes or whatever. People seem to be more concerned about their property values than about human life. And I don't know how we got here as a society, especially not in Athens County, which I thought was very liberal and loving. And lately I've been seeing a side of this community that I am not proud of. I have also been seeing another side where people have been organizing and working really hard and connecting and trying really, really hard to do something, anything, to make this better. And that is the Athens that I thought I lived in. And thank goodness that I have also seen that side, because if I was only seeing the not in my backyard, what about my property values? I don't want all those homeless people running here from other cities. If I was only seeing that aspect, I don't know where it would be right now. So I just want everybody to think about which side are you on? Are you on the push them out into the woods and leave them there and don't let them steal my water? Or are you on the let's embrace, let's figure out how to help, let's fix this, let's do something? Which side are you on? You got to pick a side, because if you don't pick a side, then you're on the ignore them side. Pick a side, let's do something. And then once we get some workable solutions, we got to expand. There are other issues that we need to come together as a community and start solving, because our government, federal, state, and local, they're not doing their jobs. They're not taking care of the people. We have to learn how to take care of each other as a community. We need to reconnect with each other and take care of each other. Now, if you've watched this video and it has made you angry, good, you should be angry. If you're thinking these government officials are not doing their jobs, you're right. Guess what? You could do a better job. You should consider running for office. We have township trustees, village councils, city council, mayors, and Athens County commissioners. You should run for office. I know you're thinking, I'm not qualified. I wouldn't know what to do. They don't know either. They don't know what they're doing. That's how we're in these positions. The only difference is they have enough gall to run anyway and figure it out as they go. And we need to do the same. Get in there and figure it out as you go. If your heart's in the right place, that's all that matters. If you want to run, I will help you figure out the deadlines, how to file, what, I don't know either, but I'll figure it out. If this video has made you angry, if the things that have been happening in the last year, 5 years, 10 years, however long, in our county, in our state, whatever, makes you angry and you're sick of it, and you want to run for office, I will help you figure out how. We will figure it out together.